Have you ever wondered why some people leap into the unknown while others stay frozen in fear? Why do some choose a path of uncertainty, pain, even failure, when safety and comfort are just a step away? What secret do they know that gives them the power to face rejection, loss, loneliness, and still smile? No, it's not fearlessness. And no, it's not luck. It's something much simpler. Something that's already within you, but almost no one dares to unlock it. In this audiobook summary of Courage, The Joy of Living Dangerously by Osho, you won't just find motivational lines or spiritual fluff. You'll discover a new way of being. But before we dive in, ask yourself this: are you really living, or just safely existing? Keep listening, because what you'll hear next might just wake up the fearless soul that's been waiting inside you all along. But before you get lost in this video, kindly tap the like button. It's free for you, but it helps this video reach someone out there who might really need it today. Let's spread something good together, and if possible, also consider subscribing to the channel. It truly supports me in bringing more content like this to you. Thank you so much for being here. Let's begin. Chapter 1. What is courage? When most people hear the word courage, they imagine soldiers in battle, firefighters running into burning buildings, or someone standing up to a bully. But Osho says, real courage is something much deeper. It's not about physical strength, it's not about fighting, and it's definitely not about being fearless. In fact, true courage means you are afraid, but you move forward anyway. Osho begins by explaining a simple truth. Everyone is afraid. But those who live fully, the creators, the lovers, the explorers, the spiritual seekers, they don't wait for fear to disappear. They act despite it. The mind wants safety, but the soul wants freedom. Our mind is always calculating, is this safe? What if I fail? What will people think? These thoughts create fear, and fear makes us shrink. But the soul, your true self, doesn't want safety. It wants growth, and growth only happens when you step out of your comfort zone. So here's the big idea. Courage is choosing growth over safety. Even when your hands are shaking, your heart is pounding, and the outcome is uncertain. Life is uncertain. And that's beautiful. Many people wait for the perfect moment to take a risk, but Osho says, life is uncertain. That's its nature. If you want to live fully, embrace that. Trying to control life, to make it safe and predictable, is a trap. We build routines, follow rules, and avoid the unknown. But in doing so, we stop living. Courage means saying, I don't know what will happen, but I choose to live anyway. Courage in everyday life. Courage isn't only found in big heroic acts. It shows up in simple moments too. Telling someone you love them, saying no when everyone expects a yes, quitting a job that kills your soul, admitting that you don't have it all figured out, choosing to be silent in a noisy world. Every time you listen to your truth, even when it scares you, that's courage. Fear is not the enemy. Osho gives us a revolutionary idea. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal that you're standing at the edge of your comfort zone and about to grow. So don't try to destroy fear. Don't suppress it. Just be aware of it and act anyway. When you walk with fear, it slowly becomes smaller, and what grows in its place is freedom. The first step, awareness. Before you can be courageous, you need one thing: awareness. Awareness of your fear, awareness of your patterns, awareness of how you avoid risk or silence your own voice. Just notice. Don't judge. The moment you become aware of fear, you gain a little distance from it. And that small distance, that gap, is where courage is born. A story to remember. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff. You've never flown before, but deep inside, you know your wings are ready. The fear screams, "Don't jump. What if you fall?" But your soul whispers, "What if you fly?" Courage is listening to the whisper. In summary, courage is not the absence of fear, it's action in the face of fear. Your mind wants comfort, your soul wants truth, Life is uncertain by nature. Embrace it. Fear is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. Osho's first lesson is clear and powerful. To live is to risk. To love is to risk. To grow is to risk. But the only true failure is never having tried. Chapter 2. The Tao of Courage. Imagine a river flowing quietly through the mountains. It doesn't rush. It doesn't resist. It doesn't even try to find its way. And yet, it always reaches the ocean. That's the essence of Tao. What is Tao? Tao is a Chinese word that means the way. It's not a path you walk on. It's the natural flow of life, the current of existence. Osho explains that true courage is not about fighting the current. It's about flowing with it. We often think courage means effort, strength, battle. But Tao teaches something radically different. Courage is softness, surrender, and deep trust in life's rhythm. The mind versus the way. The mind is always planning, analyzing, controlling. It says, I must do this. I must be that. It creates tension and fear. But the Tao doesn't plan. It allows. It flows. It moves without resistance. Osho says, let go of the mind, and courage will happen naturally. When you stop forcing life to fit your expectations, you'll find the courage to live authentically. Softness is power. This might sound strange, but listen closely. In Tao, softness is power. Think of water. It is soft, yet it wears down mountains. It bends, yet it never breaks. It has no shape, yet it fills every space. Osho teaches that when you become soft like water, you become truly powerful. You don't have to fight life. You can flow with it. Relax into courage. We think courage is about standing tall, clenching fists, roaring like a lion. But Osho says, courage is deep relaxation. Yes, relaxation, because when you trust the Tao, you no longer fear the unknown. You no longer resist change. You no longer fight your own nature. Instead, you let go and find courage in that surrender. Non-doing, Wu Wei. Another Taoist concept Osho shares is Wu Wei, which means non-doing or effortless action. This doesn't mean laziness. It means doing things in harmony with life, without forcing, pushing, or trying to control everything. Let things unfold. Let answers come. Act from stillness, not struggle. That's where real courage lives. Let life guide you. Osho says, you don't need to control the river, just learn how to swim. When you stop resisting what is, you allow your life to become a dance, not a war. This is the Tao of Courage. No fighting, no fear, just awareness and flow. A short parable. A disciple asked his master, how do I find courage to face my fears? The master said, jump into the river, stop thinking. It will carry you farther than your feet ever could. In summary, Tao means the way, the natural flow of life. Real courage is not fighting the current, but flowing with it. Softness is strength, like water carving stone. Trust life's rhythm. Don't force outcomes. Relax into courage by letting go of control. Osho's message is clear. Stop struggling. Start flowing. Courage isn't found in resistance. It's found in surrender. Are you ready to float deeper into this river of wisdom? Then stay tuned for Chapter 3, The Way of the Heart, where we explore how love, not logic, can lead you to your greatest courage. Chapter 3, The Way of the Heart. Have you ever made a decision that felt right, but made no sense to your mind? That's your heart speaking. And Osho says, that's where real courage lives. The mind thinks, the heart knows. Osho draws a clear line between the mind and the heart. The mind is logical. It asks, is this safe? What if I lose? What will people say? The heart is silent, intuitive. It whispers, jump, love, create, trust. The mind wants security. The heart wants truth. The mind clings to the known. The heart leaps into the unknown. So to live with courage, Osho says, follow your heart, even if your mind is trembling. The problem with the mind. We've been trained to trust the mind. Schools, religion, society all teach us to think, plan, calculate. But thinking often creates fear. The mind is afraid of uncertainty, mistakes, and pain. So it tells us to play it safe, again and again. And as we obey, we slowly stop living. We survive, yes, but we don't feel alive. The heart is the gateway to life. Osho explains, the heart is not a weakness. It's your access to the divine. When you listen to your heart, you fall in love, even when it's risky. You speak your truth, even when it's scary. You chase dreams, even when the world doubts you. You forgive, even when you've been hurt. These are acts of deep courage, and the mind can't explain them. But the heart doesn't need to. Why is the heart so powerful? Because the heart is connected to existence, to the universe itself. It doesn't follow logic. It follows life. And life is not linear or predictable. It's wild. It's poetic. It's full of feeling. When you live from the heart, you step into the rhythm of the universe. You stop resisting. You start being. The risk of love. Love is perhaps the most courageous act of all, because to love is to be vulnerable. You open your heart. You may get hurt. You offer trust. It may be broken. But still, Osho says, it's better to be broken in love than to live untouched and untested. Why? Because only through love do you know your depth, your beauty, your limitlessness. Even the pain of love purifies the soul. It cracks the ego and lets light in. A quote to remember. The mind gives you a comfortable prison. The heart gives you wild freedom. Choose your home wisely. How to begin living from the heart. Osho offers a simple practice. Whenever you face a decision, pause. Don't rush. Check in with your body. Ask, does this feel expansive or contracted? If it makes you feel alive, open, excited, it's the heart. If it makes you anxious, cold, or trapped, it's likely the mind. Choose the heart. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it scares you. That's how you build courage, one heart-led choice at a time. In summary, the mind is afraid of the unknown. The heart welcomes it. Society teaches us to think, but real aliveness comes from feeling. The heart speaks in silence, symbols, and sensations, not words. Love, creativity, truth, these are all acts of the heart. Courage is not loud, it's intimate. It's the soft strength of the heart. Osho says, to follow the heart is to follow life itself, and life never leads you wrong. Chapter 4. The Way of Intelligence. What comes to mind when you hear the word intelligence? Getting high grades? Remembering facts? Speaking in big, complicated words? Osho says, none of that is real intelligence. Real intelligence is something far more alive and far more dangerous. Intelligence is not memory. Society rewards memory. We're trained to repeat, copy, follow rules. But Osho calls this mechanical intelligence. It's like a computer, fast, efficient, but not alive. Real intelligence is awareness. It's your ability to see things clearly, without fear, without bias, and without following the crowd. And that kind of intelligence takes courage. Seeing what is. Osho says, intelligence is not what you know. It's how deeply you're willing to look. The intelligent person doesn't believe blindly. They question, explore, challenge. They don't accept something just because it's popular or ancient. But asking questions is risky. It might make you stand alone. And that's where courage and intelligence become one. The mind is just a tool. Your mind is like a knife. You can use it to cut vegetables or hurt yourself. Osho explains. The mind is useful, but only when you are the master. The problem is, most people are slaves to their own minds. They don't think. They are thought by their mind. Real intelligence begins when you create space between you and your thoughts, when you can observe your thinking rather than be trapped in it. Imitation is easy. Intelligence is risky. Imitation is comfortable. You don't have to be responsible. Just follow tradition. Obey the system. But intelligence requires you to be honest, especially with yourself. And that's scary, because it means letting go of old beliefs, religious dogmas, cultural conditioning, childhood stories. But Osho insists, only when you drop the borrowed can you discover the original. Schools kill intelligence. Osho boldly criticizes traditional education. He says schools don't create intelligence, they destroy it. Why? Because they reward obedience, not originality. They prepare you to fit into society, not to discover yourself. An intelligent person doesn't fit in. They stand out. They create, rebel, and innovate. And yes, it can be lonely, but it's also deeply fulfilling. Intelligence is fire. It burns down illusions. It questions the unquestionable. It makes you uncomfortable, but also free. Osho says, an intelligent person is always dangerous to the establishment. Why? Because they can't be controlled. They live by truth, not tradition. Cultivating intelligence. You can't become intelligent by effort, but you can create space for it to grow. Here's how. Be silent. Intelligence blooms in stillness. Be aware. Observe without judging. Be honest, even if the truth hurts. Be curious. Ask questions, even scary ones. Be alone. Spend time with yourself. Intelligence needs solitude. In summary, real intelligence is not about memory. It's about awareness. It begins when you stop living on autopilot. Courage is needed to question your beliefs, traditions, and society. Intelligence is dangerous because it sets you free. You don't need to learn intelligence. You need to unlearn fear. Osho says, the truly intelligent person will always choose truth over comfort, even if it means walking alone. Chapter 5. The Way of Trust. What if the greatest courage is not fighting the world, but surrendering to life? In this chapter, Osho reveals something surprising. Courage is not in controlling life, it is in trusting it. What is trust? Trust is not belief. Belief is borrowed from religion, culture, or society. But trust is born from within. It's the deep inner knowing that says, whatever happens, I will be okay. Trust is not blind. It's not saying everything will be perfect. It's saying, even if things fall apart, I will grow. Trust means letting go of control. We all try to control life. We plan every step. We avoid risks. We fear mistakes. But control is an illusion. The more you try to control, the more anxious you become. The more you let go, the more peace you feel. Osho says, trust is like falling into the sky, not knowing where you will land, but still smiling. Trust is natural. Every child is born with trust. They laugh, cry, play. They don't calculate, plan, or protect. But as we grow up, we are taught fear. Don't talk to strangers. Be careful. Play it safe. This fear blocks our courage. It closes our hearts. To live with courage, we must return to the innocent trust of a child. Why trust takes courage? Trust means saying yes to the unknown, accepting that you are not in control, being open to change, chaos, and failure. It's easy to trust when everything is going well. Real courage is trusting when things are falling apart. That's when trust becomes powerful. Trust in life, not in guarantees. Most people want guarantees. Will I succeed? Will they love me forever? Will I be safe? But life gives no promises. Osho says, courage means living without guarantees. When you trust life itself, not the outcome, you become unshakable. You stop needing to know. You start learning to flow. Trust transforms fear. Fear says, what if I fall? Trust says, what if I fly? Fear closes doors. Trust opens them. When you trust, you stop waiting for the perfect moment. You leap and let life catch you. This is not foolishness. It's freedom. Trust is a river. Osho often compares trust to a river. It has no map. It doesn't ask where it's going. It just flows. When you live in trust, you flow with life, like the river flows to the ocean. You may hit rocks, but you don't stop. You find your way, not by planning, but by being present. In summary, trust is not belief, it's deep inner surrender. It takes courage to stop controlling and start flowing. Trust returns you to your natural state of innocence. It allows you to face fear, uncertainty, and change with peace. True courage is not in fighting life, but in trusting life. Osho's message: let go of the shore, jump into the river of life. Don't ask where it's going, just trust that it knows the way. Chapter 6. The Way of Innocence. What if the bravest thing you could ever do is become like a child again? Not childish, but innocent. Not foolish, but free. In this chapter, Osho reveals, true courage is not found in knowledge, power, or control. It lives in your forgotten innocence. What is innocence? Innocence is openness. It's the ability to meet life without judgment, labels, or fear. A child sees everything for the first time. The sky is a miracle. A butterfly is a friend. Every moment is new. That's innocence. But as we grow, we are told, don't be naive. You need to be smart. Protect yourself. We build walls, and we call it maturity. Knowledge versus innocence. Osho makes a bold statement. Knowledge kills innocence. How? Knowledge creates ego. I know. I'm right. I'm better. It makes us cynical, closed, suspicious. We stop exploring. We stop wondering. We replace direct experience with second-hand information. Innocence says, I don't know and I'm okay with that. That's where curiosity, love, and courage begin. The innocent heart is fearless. The innocent person doesn't fear the unknown. They celebrate it. Why? Because they don't carry past hurts. They don't project future worries. They live here and now, and this presence gives them great power. They can fall in love again, even after heartbreak. They can try again, even after failure. They can forgive, trust, and dance, because their heart is light. Society doesn't value innocence. The world respects intelligence, success, toughness. But Osho says, these are just masks. Real strength is in vulnerability. Real wisdom is in not knowing. Society fears innocence because it cannot control it. An innocent person doesn't fit into roles, rules, or systems. That's why it takes great courage to remain innocent in a clever world. Innocence is not ignorance. This is important. Ignorance means you don't know and you avoid knowing. Innocence means you don't know, and you're open to learning, feeling, and experiencing. The innocent person is awake, aware, and alert, but not calculating. They move with grace, not strategy. They act from the heart, not the ego. Returning to innocence. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to drop what is false. Here's how. Let go of the need to always be right. Truth reveals itself when you stop defending your opinions. Observe without judging. Don't label things as good or bad. Just see them as they are. Be playful, laugh, explore, create. Children aren't afraid to look silly, and neither should you be. Trust more. Think less. Let your heart take the lead. Forgive quickly. Innocence doesn't hold on to pain. It flows. In summary, innocence is not weakness. It's spiritual strength. Society trains us to be clever, but Osho calls us back to purity. Knowledge is useful, but only when balanced with an open heart. The innocent person lives fully, loves deeply, and fears little. Returning to innocence is a revolutionary act. It is true courage. Osho reminds us, you were born innocent, you were born free, and you can return any time. Just drop what you've been taught to be, and remember who you are. Chapter 7. When the new knocks on your door, open it. Imagine this. You're sitting in a warm, safe room. Everything is familiar, predictable, comfortable. And then, knock knock. Something unknown, unexpected, is at the door. Most people panic. They freeze. They pretend they didn't hear it. But Osho says, whenever the new knocks, the old trembles. And yet, the new is life's invitation. New. Why we fear the new. The new brings uncertainty, and the mind hates uncertainty. We want guarantees. We want to know the outcome before we take the risk. But Osho teaches, growth never comes with safety. The unknown is not your enemy. It is your evolution. When the new arrives, it asks you to drop the past, leave your comfort zone, enter unfamiliar territory. That feels scary, because the ego only knows how to survive in the known. But staying in the known means staying stuck. The mind clings to the old. Your mind is a collector. It holds on to memories, beliefs, habits, and routines. Even if they cause pain, at least they are familiar. But Osho says, the old is dead. It has nothing new to offer. Only the new contains the seed of life. Letting go of the old is painful, but holding on is more painful because it kills your spirit slowly. The new is a doorway to growth. Every major breakthrough in life happens when you say yes to the unknown. A new job, a new relationship, a new country, a new way of thinking, a new version of yourself. Courage doesn't mean you feel no fear. Courage means you open the door anyway. Say yes to life. Osho encourages us to become yes-sayers. That doesn't mean saying yes to everything blindly. It means saying yes to life's invitations, even when they don't come with instructions. The new always brings a little chaos, a little fear, a little uncertainty. But it also brings discovery, joy, awakening, resistance, suffering. Whenever we resist change, we suffer. We fight the flow of life. We feel stuck, confused, restless. We stay in dead-end jobs, toxic relationships, old beliefs. But Osho reminds us, the river of life is always moving. If you stay frozen, you miss the journey. Be open, be available. The truly courageous person is always available to love again, to try again, to learn something new, to drop what no longer fits. They are fluid like water, able to adapt, evolve, and embrace surprise. The mind seeks control. The heart seeks experience. Choose the heart. In summary, the new feels risky, but it's also where all growth happens. The old is comfortable, but dead. It has no life left in it. When something unfamiliar knocks, say yes. Open the door. Trust that life never brings you anything without purpose. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance brings peace. Osho's message: say yes to the unknown. Only then can the miracle of transformation happen. Chapter 8. The Courage of Love. What's scarier than jumping out of a plane? Falling in love. Why? Because when you love, you become vulnerable. You open your heart. You give someone the power to hurt you, and trust that they won't. And yet, Osho says, love is the greatest courage. Love is not for the faint-hearted. Most people want love, but very few people are ready to give love without conditions. Because real love is dangerous. It asks you to drop your defenses, surrender your ego, live with uncertainty, trust without guarantees. And that takes courage. The mind fears love. The mind wants control. Love is wild. The mind wants logic. Love is irrational. The mind wants safety. Love is a risk. But Osho says, only those who risk are alive, and the greatest risk of all is to love. Love is not possession. One of the biggest fears in love is loss. So we try to possess. You're mine. Don't talk to them. Stay with me forever. But Osho teaches, love is not a cage. Love is freedom. If it's real, it doesn't bind. It blooms. True love says, I love you, and I give you wings. Why we close our hearts? Many people are afraid to love again because of past pain. They say, I was hurt. They betrayed me. It's not worth it. so they build walls. But Osho says, the wound is where the light enters. Every hurt, every heartbreak is a lesson. Don't let it close your heart. Let it deepen your heart. Love is transformation. When you truly love, something magical happens. You become softer, kinder, more alive. You drop your masks, you touch your soul and theirs. Love opens the door to spiritual growth, because love is the only thing that dissolves the ego completely. Love without fear, without expectation. Osho encourages a new way of loving, not for security, not for control, not for forever, but for the beauty of connection, even if it's brief. He says, love should be like a song, not a contract. Don't ask, what will I get? Ask, how deeply can I give? In summary, love is the greatest act of courage. It means becoming open, vulnerable, and trusting again. True love doesn't possess. It liberates. Heartbreak is not the end. It's part of the journey. Love with no fear, no demand, and no expectation, and you will be transformed. Osho's message. Fall in love like a river flows, without holding back, not because it's safe, but because it's real. Chapter 9. Not a relationship, but a state of being. What if love isn't something you find in another person? What if love isn't a relationship at all, but a state of your own being? In this powerful chapter, Osho challenges everything we've been taught about love. He says, love is not between two people. Love is something within you. Why relationships often fail. Most people enter relationships looking for security, attention, validation, escape from loneliness. But Osho says, when two beggars come together, there can be no sharing, only conflict. If you don't already love yourself, no one else can fill that hole. When you depend on another to make you happy, it becomes clingy, controlling, fearful, fragile. And that is not love. That's need. Love is who you are. Osho turns the idea of love inside out. He says, you don't fall in love. You become love. Real love flows from a heart that is already full. A person who has tasted the joy of being alone. Someone who doesn't need love, but is ready to give it. This kind of love is not jealous, doesn't make demands, doesn't fear endings, doesn't depend on conditions. Why? Because it's not coming from a relationship, it's coming from you. Solitude before togetherness. Osho encourages each of us to spend time in aloneness. Not loneliness, aloneness. There's a difference. Loneliness is when you're waiting for someone to complete you. Aloneness is when you're complete in yourself. He says, when two people who are whole in themselves meet, their love is a sharing, not a bargain. Drop the idea of ownership. In most relationships, we want to own the other person. We say, you are mine. Don't leave me. Promise me forever. But love is not ownership. Osho says, love is like the fragrance of a flower. It cannot be caged. When love becomes a relationship full of rules, promises, and expectations, it loses its beauty. Real love is freedom. Love as presence. What happens when love is no longer tied to a person, but is a part of your nature? You become compassionate, joyful, peaceful, open. You don't look for love. You radiate it. You become a healing presence for the world. Even if you're alone, you're not empty. You're full of life. In summary, love is not a relationship. It is a state of being. Don't seek love in others. Find it within yourself. Learn to enjoy aloneness, and love will flow naturally from you. Real love doesn't bind. It sets both hearts free. A relationship is beautiful only when both people are whole already. Osho's message, be love. Don't seek it. Let it overflow from your being and touch whoever comes close. Chapter 10. This cake is delicious. Imagine a child eating cake. She doesn't count the calories. She doesn't think, do I deserve this? She doesn't save it for later. She just takes a bite and says, this cake is delicious. That is how Osho wants us to live, with full-hearted joy, presence, and gratitude for the now. The cake is life itself. In this light yet profound chapter, Osho uses the metaphor of cake to make a radical point. Life is a gift. Enjoy it. Taste it. Don't analyze it to death. Too often we become so serious, so controlled, so caught in ideas of what should be, that we forget to simply take a bite. Osho says, to enjoy life is not a sin, it is the most spiritual thing you can do. The problem with the thinking mind. The mind is always asking, is this right? What will people say? What's the purpose? It doesn't allow celebration. It demands justification. So even when life gives us something beautiful, a moment of silence, laughter, love, we hesitate. We hold back. But Osho warns, if you wait for permission to celebrate, you'll spend your whole life waiting. Be like a child again. Children don't need a reason to laugh. They dance for no reason. They sing in the rain. They say things like, this cake is delicious, and mean it. That's the spirit Osho wants us to reclaim. He says, joy is your nature. You were born with it, but society trained it out of you. Reclaiming joy is one of the most courageous things you can do, because it means choosing aliveness over duty, wonder over worry. Celebrate first, then everything follows. Osho's teaching flips the script. Don't wait to celebrate after success. Celebrate, and you'll find success flowing toward you. Joy doesn't need a reason. You don't need to earn happiness. Just as the cake doesn't ask whether you're worthy, life doesn't either. Let life be a feast. Let your mornings be like music. Let your friendships be like shared desserts. Let your soul say, yes, this moment is sweet. Living this way is not irresponsible. It's awake. Because when you're truly joyful, you hurt no one, compete with no one, fear nothing. You live like a blessing to the world. In summary, life is like a cake. It's meant to be tasted, not just studied. The mind creates guilt and hesitation. Joy dissolves both. Be playful, spontaneous, and open like a child. Celebrate life now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Choosing joy is the ultimate rebellion against a fearful, dull world. Osho's joyful reminder. This moment is the cake. Take a big bite. Taste it fully. Say with your whole being, this cake is delicious. This book have 28 chapters, but because it will become too long, that's why I stop here. And if you feel interesting, then please subscribe. And if you haven't liked the video, please do now because it's free for you. But it helps this video reach someone out there who might really need it today. Let's spread something good together.